Good morning, everyone. My name's Nick. I'm author Annie Betts, and today's a very special day for me. This is the release date for my epic fantasy debut novel, The Waking of Storm and Flame. It's the first in my book series called The Fates of Aten. So I wanted to start today with something very important. Something to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to love fantasy. So for those who don't know, I'm Canadian. I'm officially from the province of Nova Scotia. I was born in Halifax and raised in the town of Cole Harbour. For those who aren't familiar with that town, I share a hometown with Pittsburgh Penguins legend Sidney Crosby and Colorado Avalanche forward Nathan MacKinnon. I came to love fantasy from a young age. I would say that my first foray into it was Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. I fell in love with it. That was the first place I truly fell in love with the genre. From there, it developed into other passions: Gears of War, Resident Evil, Mass Effect, and more recently, Horizon. I have a love of stories. I haven't had a love of connecting with people through those games, and admittedly, I've never been a big reader. Not because I don't enjoy the stories, it's because it usually takes me an hour to go about 10 pages, because I want to read and reread and be immersed in things. So, usually I just lose myself a little bit. Now, with this story, there's a reason why I started writing what was originally of Shimmer and Shadow, but became The Waking of Storm and Flame. And that's because of a little white furball. So some of you know this story already, but for those who don't, that little furball's name was Ace. He was mine and my wife's best friend. He was my wife's spirit animal, and quite often he was her little bed companion because they would take naps together. It was really cute to watch. So in January of 2021, at the height of the COVID pandemic, my little buddy was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, at that time stage 3. That's when I heard the doctor tell me the words I never really wanted to hear. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I went home that day and I asked the big guy upstairs, and mind you, I'm not religious, but it helped me out, if he could give me one more year with Ace, so I could say my farewells, make my final memories, all the good things that should happen between pets and their owner. After Christmas the following year, Ace started to take a downturn very fast. Now, it's something that really makes you think about the divine and something far greater, because I was given that year. And my wife and I said goodbye to our friend on Valentine's Day in 2022. Now, where did the story come from? Well, after Christmas, when Ace started to take a downturn, he struggled moving about. I was doing a bit of working from home, and during all of my times with him, it was a chance for me to have a vent, a creative outlet, if you will, to help me cope with his diagnosis and what I feared was the soon coming loss of the cat. So I wrote next to him. I started Shimmer and Shadow. I got about 40 pages in before he passed away, and I hit the biggest creative and mental block I've ever hit in my entire life after that. After about 2 months, I picked up the pieces. I still couldn't write, still processing Ace's death, but I switched to podcasting and I started the Insidious agenda. That kept me busy. It kept my mind occupied, and I got to tell stories that I loved about the paranormal and true crime, mysteries, you name it. It was an incredible year and a half run for the Insidious agenda. After about a year, I needed a break, so I told everyone I was taking about 2 months off It was just way too intensive, and I needed to take a step back from it. So in those 2 months, I had the desire to pick up Shimmer and Shadow again. So I did. I started replotting it. I started listening to author podcasts, learning everything I absolutely could. And then I started writing. I based the initial couple chapters off of those first 40 pages, and I will release those someday so you can see how far the story came from its initial conception. And then I moved on from the Insidious agenda a couple months later. I did go back for a series of episodes, but my heart wasn't in it like it was in writing. So in August of 2023, I started with the Shimmer and Shadow manuscript again, and I kept with it. I finished the very first draft of it on Remembrance Day, November 11th, just this past year, 2023. And I was completely through my editing, my beta readers, and it was ready for an editor in June. So I found an editor, and some of you might know my hiccup with this. Found an editor, someone I thought was reasonably priced for the small budget that I had, someone who made me feel really great about my project, and then proceeded to take $500 of my money, lead me along for 8 weeks, and then disappear. I'm not saying this to lambast the company or the person running it. I'm sure they had reasons for doing what they do. That company was B Edits. B Edits. And I was strung along by its owner for 8 weeks. That was why the release of The Waking in Storm and Flame was was shifted from August 27th all the way to October 16th. I lost 8 weeks of time and accumulated 8 weeks of unnecessary worry. Now, don't fret. I was smart enough to pay by credit card, and the bank sided me in chargeback requests, so I got back every single dollar that I paid that woman. Now, the only piece of advice that I'll give you, and again, I'm not lambasting the company, I don't want anybody to attack this individual. I will just leave you with the piece of advice to say, if it's too good to be true, and I mean if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. And that was the case here. So, as I move on from that, the development of this story from conception through hiatus to now release day was 34 months. 34 months. That was an incredible amount of time. Time that I could have done other things, time that I sacrificed with my family, but it got me to where I am today. And I'm thankful to everybody who sacrificed a part of themselves to allow me to follow this dream. It's a big part of my life. Through all the hiccups, the rises, the falls, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And I'm looking forward to what's to come. So, what's ahead for my writing career? That's something that I really should address. Now, the first couple reviews of The Waking of Storm and Flame gave me a lot to think about and a lot to work on. And the joys and the beauty of this whole process is that this is the first step. I read somewhere something that 0.1% of people who start writing a story actually ever make it this far. So I'll take the credit for that. Absolutely. I look forward to perfecting my craft, to writing more emotional and deep stories. But I'm absolutely proud of where I'm at now and how far I've come. That is something that will live with me, something that will never be taken away, and something that will survive me long after I'm gone. It gives me heart, and it was my life's desire to leave something that somebody could pick up 100 years from now Sure, I won't be around, but the story will. My voice, my words, it'll all still be there. And there's no better gift that I can give to myself than that. So, if you love The Waking of Storm and Flame, I'd love you to reach out and leave a review, send me an email, tag me in a social media post. I would love to see every bit of it. It makes it all worth it. If you didn't like it, if you DNF the book, by all means, let me know. Give me some constructive criticism. Let me know what you didn't like. I'm not looking to be lambasted or torn down, but I would love to hear from you because that constructive criticism will be so important in my own development. That being said, I will never lose sight of the fact that the credit is not due to the one that points out how the strong man stumbled. It belongs to the man that's in the arena. And I'm happy to be that man. Next up is The Last Cry of Innocence, which will release in the spring of 2025. It's already drafted. It's 155,000 words, so about 20% bigger than The Waking of Storm and Flame. It's got a theme, so big shout out to Gia Wildwood for an original theme that I can use to go with this book. And it'll be coming in spring of next year, 2025. I look forward to the process ahead. I've got 3 more novels in this series after that. As of now, they're planned The Serpent and the Shattered Sword for winter of next year, The Call of the Silver Spire for 2026 in the fall, will culminate in The Reckoning of Fate and Destiny in summer of 2027. Beyond that, I already have a project lined up, a trilogy, if you will. That's going to be my love letter to Final Fantasy. I'm so looking forward to finishing this. I'm looking forward to having you along for the ride. And if you don't think I'm there quite yet, I just ask you to stay with me because I will get better. I will make you proud, and I might even surprise you. From one young kid that grew up in Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia, and now lives out west outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and I look forward to sharing these amazing works of art with you until I can't anymore. Talk to you soon. Good morning, everyone. My name's Nick. I'm author Annie Betts, and today is a very special day for me. This is the release date for my epic fantasy debut novel, The Waking of Storm and Flame. It's the first in my book series called The Fates of Aten. So I wanted to start today with something very important, something to tell you a little bit about myself and how I came to love fantasy.